What's your thought on this?
I'd like to agree with part of what our professor has indicated, that these three powerful politicians, if their interests are not aligned with our national and public interests, they're going to be a source of political instability. And nobody needs political instability in Kenya. And this gets further complicated because majority of the Kenyan voters, as we have said times above number, they're emotional and they're irrational. So whatever these three powerful politicians say is as good as law. When they tell them to jump, they don't ask why, they ask how high. Now, with that kind of a scenario, they must be guarded with whatever they are saying because they're very powerful. I would even venture to say that the three are populist politicians because they've gift of the gab, they are flamboyant, all of them are insiders, but play as if they're outsiders.
All right.
And they've got high capacity, they've got a lot of resources, which is why they must be very careful. I mean, my cousin in the village in Mosocho can go to the mountain and say whatever he says, nobody will bother.
Indeed.
But when President Kenyatta says, ngwe, then people sit back and ask themselves, wait a minute, is that the President of the Republic of Kenya? And it is even more complicated that he's about to leave office and he's supposed to assume international roles, international agendas. He's supposed to go and start having tea with people like Ibrahim Babangida or Thabo Mbeki. Now, Thabo Mbeki and Babangida would sit back and ask themselves, wait a minute, what is President Kenyatta saying in Kenya? Having said that, we must also point out what Kipchumba Karoide has said, that why the choice of Raila Odinga. And in my view, it's unacceptable to start casting aspersions on his health or on his age, because Raila Odinga is a very strong man. And I doubt, while it could be a project, it could be President Kenyatta's project, I doubt whether it's going to be a puppet or a marionette. Because if he becomes the president, the moment he takes oath of office at Kasarani, and lawyers say before 2 o'clock, he will... I mean, he would shock everybody because, you know, people at some stage suspected that President Mwai Kibaki is a gentleman you are going to play around with. But as soon as he took office, people said, wait a minute, is he the same man you are looking at?
All right.
Also, the same happened with President Moi. They said this is a passing cloud, but the cloud was static for 24 years. Now, even people who are thinking that Raila Odinga would be manipulated, they may get a shock of their life.
All right. Kipchumba, before I come to you, for you to tell me about whether the former Prime Minister is, or the aim is to make him a puppet president, Kipchumba, in 2016, when more than 10 parties collapsed to form the Jubilee Party, the idea by the Deputy President and his boss, the President, was to have national unity, to boost national unity and to change the politics of this country. Many say that what's happening right now has left an indelible mark on blemish on both the two gentlemen's legacy.
I think, Ben,
Don't you agree?
there is something amphoteric about Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. There is what we call the convergence of divergent ideological standpoints in this sense. Whereas Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta is the first president to rule this country under the Constitution 2010. And that Constitution has put sufficient safeguards in the office of the Deputy President and in the office of the Deputy Governor, so that the late Otieno Kajwang will say, you can easily divorce your public tonight, is that we have political parties that might be large in following, but they are not infrastructurally large in terms of ideological cornerstone that builds the party. This is to say that whereas what Uhuru Kenyatta and William, the answer is no, because that party has structures. Will it have happened in ZANU PF under Mugabe? The answer are not under the party, whatever they call it, the Politburo. The answer is no. Even when Mugabe became a political liability to ZANU, everybody knows that there is no individual bigger than the party. So what they have done, what the two have done in the end,
do you think you can compare this political party system to the likes of South
we can't
Africa
compare for this thing, Ben, which I've always said it. Ours is politics, Ben, which both William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta have put us in, is that nobody will ever believe in strong political parties, because an idea that it had taken, NASA organized themselves as a coalition and Jubilee was a party. If we had built on that, Ben, this country would have been very far. And the next level as taking it to those economic forums. It began there. So you have to give it to that, but there is an indelible...
Or the purported endgame of the president supporting Raila Odinga for the presidency as he's exiting?
Is a project or not? I think being a project of anyone, he's been a champion of reforms, working for the people of Kenya. What I want to say is that he as the prime minister, he did it right. Now going forward, has crossed that particular line to aspect that how he's bringing economic revolution.
His long career in politics left what he believed.
It was so strong. Why it was strong? To the fore on one side.
Let me office, and I think today he went home.
Yes, he has resigned.
This careless talk about politics being only important because your interests converge must stop. He has said something very fundamental: ethno-majoritarian rule. Indeed, that is where the greatest legacy that Honorable William Ruto, Honorable Ruto and Kenyatta, and even Honorable Raila Odinga will leave for this country. The reason why NASA broke was because promises were not kept. The reason why Jubilee broke was because promises were not kept. The reason why this country will break is because our politicians have no regard for promises. In brief, they lie openly and feel nothing when they go to the office. That is the saddest bit of our politicians.
All right. I have a question for you when you come back. Is that what they call political conmanship? And is that is after the break? I want you to hold...
That is the toxic politics. But we have to go to the break because Sylvester here has assaulted logic. Because he has said that because Raila Odinga is the champion of democracy, his fingerprints are on the 2010 constitution, he's always run as an establishment candidate, therefore, it cannot be a project. That is assaulting logic.
All right.
Number two, that Azimio la Umoja launched the manifesto before Kenya Kwanza. Again, that counts for nothing.
Please hold that thought for now. Let's take a quick commercial break.
Actually, I wanted to remember that.
We're coming back to that. Let's take a quick commercial break here on Front and Center. We're talking about the frosty relations between the president, the head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta, and his deputy, William Ruto, who is a presidential candidate in this election. What this means for this election. Stay with us.